Hello and welcome to the IDX Agent IDX webinar for agents of IDX Broker and for anybody curious about how Agent IDX works. My name is Luke Walsh. I've been with the company for 3 years. I host a lot of these webinars and I know a lot about this product, and today we'll get into a lot of the we won't deep dive into all of the features available. But I'll try to cover as much as I possibly can within an hour. If you have any technical issues or technical problems, unfortunately you're going to have to, we're just going to speed through this webinar, so there's not a lot I can do to stop and wait for that. So, but I am recording the webinar, and so you'll have access to the recording after, I believe it goes out in an email about a day after the webinar, so you'll have access to that when you need it. The questions box in your menu should have is a place where you're going to want to put any questions that you have while I'm in the tab, while I'm covering a specific topic. If it's a question that's unrelated to whatever tab I'm in, I may wait for the end of the webinar to address that question. Otherwise, go ahead and ask the question, and then I'll take it from there. Note that if you want the question to be account specific, I can answer that, but you probably want that to be just a private question, so you can either just note that in the question, or we can take it offline after the fact. You can send an email to webinars@idxbroker.com, and I'll respond to that. So let's go ahead and get started today, and I'll try to cover, again, as much as I possibly can. It's difficult to cover all of what's in IDX Broker in an hour, so but like I said, I'll do my best to cover what I can, and then it definitely is helpful if you post questions in that questions box, because usually if you have a question, there are quite a few people on the webinar that have the similar question, or may not realize that they have the question until you ask it. So go ahead and do that freely. So here's the dashboard. This is the dashboard for IDX Broker, and one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that you can move these items around. So if you have your active URLs, let's say you want to move that up to the top, you can do that easily. And this just gives you an overview of the account and where it is. Any alerts? Usually we pass alerts if it's an MLS change, if there's some MLS change, or there's a feature change. We'll push the alert out, and then we'll put it out as a highlighted alert if it's important. Traffic stats, this is where you can view all of your traffic stats. You can also export your traffic stats, so by IP address. So it includes IP address and time, date, all of that. You can also look at the totals. So let's say on external is things like Google and any external URLs not related to your account URL. So you can see the list there. Account notes, pretty basic. Any account notes that are relevant to your account, and usually we add these on the back end, and they're notes related to things like I added a new MLS or what have you. So if you're curious about, let's say you add an MLS and you're curious about the status, you can usually go to account notes and find it there. Notices, this is where all your notices are placed, even those that you removed from the dashboard. So you'll be able to go back in history and see all the notices that are in there. Account management is pretty straightforward, and it's just the account details. Note that anytime that you change, this is something available only to us, the company name. Anytime that you change companies, you'll want to notify us so we can modify the paperwork, and then we'll update this for you. And this is the information that also shows up in the iOS app. So that's something that you'll want to be able to, you'll contact us if you have any sort of change there. Designer info, I would recommend keeping this up to date, because anytime your designer asks for information about the account, we'll have to look up whether the designer is actually on your account. We do this for security purposes. So I would recommend just updating this if you haven't already. Billing info is anytime you have any new a new credit card, you can go in here and update it, and you should be able to just update the credit card I believe the date on the credit card in here, and then submit it, and then it'll that evening it will be updated. Domain control. Now this is a big one. Domain control is basically domain control gives you a way to set up a custom domain. So and there's some confusion around custom domains, and I get this question a lot. You know, is a custom domain better than or worse than having folders on your own site? And the answer is that Google actually has specified that there is no difference from an indexing standpoint. And I can provide that link to anybody who is curious about it, but that there is really no difference between having a subdomain and having a subdomain of your main site, and then having a folder, a subfolder on your main site. And so what we've done is here we've given you the choice of adding a custom domain. So the primary domain is IDXCO typically, and you can set up a custom domain by following the instructions in this knowledge base article. And what this knowledge base article tells you is, you know, look, and you know, there's some details here that you know, there's quite a bit of content here, but it takes a minute or two to read through this, and I would highly recommend it, because once you set up a CNAME on your account, you're going to benefit from that CNAME quite a bit. The custom domains, you would set up the CNAME and then set up a custom domain from there, and then change domain settings, and then the links should all change as well. So, page links. This is where you pull in all of your page links. So you have basic search, advanced search, and so on. And this is where, you know, obviously you have a various number of page links. There are some page links that people aren't aware of. So, for instance, a lot of people don't realize you have an MLS quick search page link that can be added to a page, and it's actually it's frameable. So this is the one frameable page that we offer. We don't like to offer frameable pages, but that's one page that's frameable. That doesn't include your wrapper information. And then if somebody hits submit, then it goes to your wrapper. Looks like I've got a couple questions coming in, and I've got I'll probably address those as we get to that topic. So for those of you that posted the questions. Featured open houses. So anytime you have an open house, you set up a featured open house and toggle that on. That's going to show up here. Sold pending is an important one. So anytime you have a sold pending listing, I'll cover the sold pendings and how that works. But anytime you have a sold pending or pending listing, it'll show up on that page. So these are all links that people may not be aware of that are in the system. Link showcase. This is where your system links, or excuse me, your custom links are going to show up on one page. So you can actually take this page, copy and paste it, and then put it in your footer, the footer of your home page, and it's really going to help these pages get indexed. Any page that you place in the footer or on your home page is going to get crawled faster than any page that's a link deep. So for those of you that are interested in SEO and optimizing for that, I'll scroll down here. Here's another one. This is the saved updates page, and what this does is this will actually walk the user through a little a wizard. So you can have advanced search or you can have basic search, and this inherits whatever template you've chosen for basic and advanced. It only allows for basic and advanced. Okay, so you go through here, hit next step, and then there's your sign up form. Create a personalized listing manager account, and since you've performed a search, what happens is the user ends up saving that search. So this is very useful to people that you know, where let's say you want to set up a saved search, but you know, but the system isn't saving that automatically. They have to, you know, the user has to go in and create an account first. This makes that process quite a bit faster. So pretty popular link. And then the sitemap link is an important one as well. This is a link that you're going to want to put. You'll want to put this in your footer as well. So put the sitemap link in your footer, because all of these pages are going to get crawled, okay? And they get updated as new cities come on are on the list. Those cities will be updated. You can sort by price. Again, all of these are unique pages. So then we'll go to change password. That's a fairly straightforward issue there. You need to change your password from within the app. So I'll cover the global default prices and global preferences. This is where a lot of changes take place on your account. And so anytime that you're curious about, hey, can I do this? Can I do that? I would come in here and check the preferences page because it may be possible. There's so many different things that you can customize in IDX Broker. And let's start with default prices. You can change the default minimum and maximum price on property search pages. I'll show you how that works. Let's say I set minimum there and then maximum there, save changes, and let's go back to page links. So we'll open that. So you see that minimum and maximum are now updated. So you can also set the minimum and maximum for property types, specific property types. So let's say you have rentals in here. You want to set a min-max of very low, 0 to 5,000 or something, and then that'll ensure that the rentals show up. A lot of times people will set this, and then they may focus on rentals, or they may have the option of rentals and not realize that the default min and max are really set for sale properties. On this area, you can hide things. So let's say you want to hide the basic search. You can do that. Now it's hidden. Hit refresh. It's gone. Okay. You can rename the property types. So let's say you're not happy with. Let's say single-family residential includes condos. Okay, this is a very common one. So you want to change single-family residential to residential condos. Okay, so now you've done that. You've notified the client then that, okay, if I do the search, then I may have the option of coming up with condos, even if the condos may not be available in the basic search. Now, in the advanced search, if condos are available, they should be available as a subtype. So this would help you there as well. That's a common change for this this feature. New search link. Let's say you have your own sign-up form, or you have your own system, your own CRM, and you want to add that to the system. So anytime somebody performs or hits the new search link, you want them to go back. You want them to go to that sign-up form before they can go anywhere. So, and then you redirect them back to the search. So you can do that here. You set it as custom, or you set it as IDX system. Search list to display. This one is, do you want to show? Right now, if you look at it, it's showing city and county, but not zip. So let's say you want zip too. So you save changes, and now zip code is included. You can also default to city, county, or zip. So you have the default option there. Override global search filters. This one is rarely used, but it's basically if we have global filters that prevent an MLS in Oregon from displaying a listing that's in Florida. Believe it or not, listings like that end up getting pushed into MLSs where they really have they shouldn't belong there. And so we filter those out. You can override that here. Append state and city to county lists. Let's say you save that, hit refresh. These cities are now include the state. So that's if your MLS is, let's say it's focused on or crosses borders. It just clarifies that for the user. Use custom city lists. This is an important one and used quite a bit. So if you build the custom city list, you set up a custom city list here, and then you can turn it on here. So you have basic address, map search, advanced search, and so on. You can turn it on. And what this does is it just limits the city list here, so that you're not searching all, and you give the user the area that you focus on. Custom county list, same thing. Zip code list. You can sort, show loading screen for searches, show logo on the loading screen. Pretty self-explanatory. The Google Maps key, that should have been provided with your account. In some cases, it is provided actually. In other cases, we've asked that you submit that. So your designer may have submitted that for you or set that up for you. All results page maps on. We recommend that you put that on, turn that on, because that way, if I do a, whoops. So let's say, take that out, and that. Let's do a search in Albany. So there's a results map. So it will turn this on or off. Some of you may have that off. I would recommend that you turn that on. That's going to look good. If you do that, it just looks a little cleaner. Display map on which page? Do you want it on featured page, sold pending? These are all results pages. So what this is where these are all on by default. Map behavior. These are defaults. You can change the map view if you'd like. You can change the center location. So for the map, so when people start out, you're going to want a center location that, that may be, your address or what have you. You can set that up. You can look it up by address, and then we'll look it up by latitude and longitude, and then you can save it, and it'll store it there, save it there. Map search defaults. Just how many properties do you want to display on the map search? We start with 25, but sometimes people want 50 or 100 on the map search. We don't go any larger than that, any higher than that, because it would slow the load time of the map search. And then you can also set the map search defaults. So let's say you focus on rentals or you focus on farms. You can set the map search default to farms, and then establish that. Okay. And then use search control palette. Anytime you have a in this one it shows is it going to show the search control palette that we display for map search, this bit over here, or do you want to hide that? You can turn that off if you'd like. Most people leave that on. And then anytime you have a question about a topic here in the preferences, you can hit this this little eye icon here, and it'll send you straight to the knowledge base article for that topic. So I have a question about show logo on loading screen, since we're on this page. I can show you what that looks like. So if we go to basic search, and then you'll see as I hit search, you'll see the logo show up here. In this case, what we have is actually we don't, because we don't have a logo, in this account, it's not showing it, but it would essentially show here, when I hit search, you'll see the little loading icon here. I'll do it again. That will be replaced by your logo, and it looks nice. It just adds a little branding to it. So that's how that works. Of course, you have to have your logo in the system, and most will. If you don't, you should definitely do that. Let's see. Now we're on results pages. Show property thumbnails, yes or no. That's typically yes. You can set that as that's the default. The default for refinement search is only when maximum results exceeded. So refinement search is, if I go here, this is refinement search right here. Okay. So this is the little box that shows up. If I turn that off, again, this is set for when maximum results have been exceeded. This is searched across max and hit maximum results, so it's going to show up. If I had 50 results, it wouldn't show up. If I wanted it to always show up, I could set up always here. So show MLS provided virtual tours. This should be all by default. And anytime an MLS sends virtual tours, we do set that up. If you want to turn that off, you can do that here. So if you don't want others' virtual tours to show up, you can do that here. And that may be, it may be that you don't want that. agent's branding to show up or something along those lines. You know, and you want only your virtual tours to get the focus for your featured listings. And I'll show you how to set up the virtual tours in your featured listings. Then you can do that here. Feature my MLS properties on standard results. Yes, this should be yes. If it's not, you know, double check it. But what this does is that it'll put your listings up above other listings if those listings match the criteria. Supplemental listings. Anytime you have, you know, any listings that are for whatever reason not in MLS, and you want to feature those, you can set those up and then toggle yes on this as well. Default number of properties per page. So right now, as you can see, we have 10, right? So let's say I want 100. Now this will slow down your results loading time a little bit. I don't know if I saved. Oh, I see what's going on. So because the value is set up in the URL, you would actually have to test that by running another search. So as you can see, now we have 100 listings. And believe it or not, that page loaded fairly quickly given that it's 100 listings, and these are all, you know, most of these are not small images. So our servers are set up to load very quickly. So you'll see that that's also important for SEO purposes. Anytime if you have a slow loading page, that can definitely work against you when it comes to SEO and indexing, and something that Google has talked about quite a bit, and they really focused on over the last year and a half. And that can be actually one of the problems with loading these pages and this content into a WordPress installation. A lot of times the WordPress servers are not built to manage this level of data, and so they're not quick to load. Those pages are not quick to load. So let's go down here to the here we go. Default number of characters to display in results. So how many characters you know, in this area do you want to display? So you can max that out. Go here. And then listing price high to low. Generally, people leave that as is. That's the default. Show property thumbnails, featured properties, sold pending, supplemental. These are all set to yes. Show refinement search. These are all set to yes by default. Property sorting. You want to sort by property type and then price on a multiple you know, property type search, or price only for these pages, for these like the featured page, or just price. And then I believe it's property type, then price is the default. Break listings into multiple pages, yes, no. A number of listings per page, you can display up to 100 for your featured list. Let's say you have, you know, 55 featured listings. You would definitely probably just set that to 100. And again, the load time is not an issue up to 100. If we got up to 250 or 500, then you would see some load issues, but that's why we don't add that as an option to keep those pages fast. Show supplemental listings, yes, no. Same with sold pending. And then featured open house sorting. So this is for your open houses. How do you want those sorted on your open house, on your featured properties? You know, do you want to sort by date, price, so on? So a lot of little things that you can change in IDX Broker to modify the front end and create some control there. Mortgage calculator, you can change the settings here. Email updates, you can have a summary of all email updates sent to yourself and then carbon copied, or you can do a copy of each. And then, of course, the client logo, you'd want to put that in there. There's a custom image. You can put a custom image in there. By default, this will show up. This is anytime, let's say for whatever reason an MLS has not sent the property photo, but you want something in there so it doesn't look blank or have an X. So you would want to upload an image that may be branded to you. That doesn't happen very often, but it's good backup to have that. I'll skip these because these are Office accounts. This is an account that was an Office account and then downgraded to use for agent webinars, but I'll skip this. Use property navigation. Do you want next, previous? Yes, no. And then details page map. Do you want to use WalkScore or Microsoft? If you use WalkScore and you have a custom subdomain, you'll want to set up get an API key from them. And actually, it's not going to hurt to get an API key from them anyway. Anytime you set up WalkScore. They also have a subscription model. I think it's $50 a month if you want to bypass or have some enhancements there. Let's see, enhanced photo gallery, yes, no, and then images per row on that. Let's see, I've got a couple questions here. Is this where we would add the logo for the show logo? So I'm not sure exactly what that means. Maybe you can clarify what that means. I can cover the logo. This is where you would upload your own logo. And basically, you need to make sure that it's a 100 by 50. And then there's another question about the custom photo. And with the custom photo, you need to have 400 by 300. So make sure that that's scaled correctly at 400 by 300. If that's not working, then send us the image that you're trying to upload, and we'll review why it may not be scaling correctly. You can send that to help@idxbroker.com. And then let's see. Yes, and yes, to answer your question, show logo on loading screen is related to having the logo in there. So you do need to, you need to enter that, the logo in here in order to show it on the loading screen. So to answer that question. And then we have conversion tracking code. This is typically for AdWords users or anybody that's setting up a PPC campaign, and you can add your tracking code in here. And what happens is it gets triggered anytime somebody submits a form. So if a visitor submits or lead submits the form, it's going to track back to whatever campaign you had set up. So this is useful for AdWords. Not so useful for Google Analytics. So if you're using Google Analytics, although AdWords and Analytics will communicate, so if you are using AdWords, I would recommend using the conversion tracking code area. If you're only using Google Analytics or an analytics package, typically you can set up a URL as the trigger for your conversion. So you don't need to have any special tracking code triggered on a specific page. But like I said, if it's AdWords or Bing or any of the other PPC campaigns, you would set that up in here. Share property, do you want to have a mail to, or do you want to have share this? If you have share this, you can go get a share this key. This is the key is helpful because obviously you have to set up an account to get a key, but it also will help you track any sharing that goes on with property details pages. So you'll be able to see how many properties are shared, what kind of, let's say you have a social media campaign and you just want to see how effective it's been. You can set up a share this key and then use their analytics to track that. So since we don't do that, we don't have an analytics setting in here for that specific design for that, and that's their niche. We've just redirected to them, but it's fairly easy to set up. I would recommend doing that. Dynamic title tags. So this is SEO options is where this governs details pages, right? So any details page that I go to is going to have, and I'll open Firebug here and I'll show you what it looks like. In the header, you're going to have a couple meta tags. This one is the title tag, and according to SEO Moz, this is one of the most important. SEO Moz is a forum for search engine optimization, and it's been around for years. And they polled a lot of the people a lot of their visitors, and they found that that title tag was considered the most important thing that you can do, change that you can apply to a page in order to help get it indexed and get clicks. And the reason for that is because the title tag typically shows up in Google results or Bing results. It will show, these are the keywords that show up, and then they link, those keywords then link to your page. The other page that's important is called the meta description. So the description page is typically going to be, again, you want to have it customized, and you'll see right now this is not customized. It's taking the description from the wrapper. So every description page, every details page is going to have the same description until I go in here and I turn this on. Now I save that, I hit refresh, and then I go to description, and you'll see that the description now shows the listing, the address, and so on. So, but you can make the description be whatever you want it to be. So once I've saved this, you can say, you know, check out this. Actually, this is what I would recommend, is do this. I believe the default is this setting, but what you'll want to do is put your display name in and then copy the listing description. So I just copied the listing description from up here. These are the values you can enter. So I put that in, save changes, and now I hit refresh. That description is going to contain all the rich text that's in that description. So you see now it says, okay, here's the description. Now the description is showing up in the content for description. Beautiful 58, 74 riverfront acres. That's going to show up in the description, and what will happen is that will show up in the description in the Google results, and so it will make that property more desirable to whoever searched for it, and they're more likely to click on that link, which then drives up the value of that link and presumably pushes your links higher in the results. So obviously Google pays attention to what the end user does, but you can influence how many clicks you get by providing some good content to Google and to the user, really, to entice them to click. So that covers the SEO and all the preferences. So I'll get into cover search list filters. This isn't used very often. It's just sometimes you have, let's say you cover, this is RMLS, and you cover Oregon, but you don't cover Washington. Well, you can keep that filtered so that no results for Washington will even show up, even if somebody searches all of the cities. Custom search lists, we covered that. This is the syndication tab, and so any syndication, any of your own properties can be syndicated here. And what you'll need to do is take this URL. So this URL goes to Trulia. So you set up a Trulia account, or let's say you already have a Trulia account. You copy this URL and then you submit it to them, and then they'll add it to their system. And then that way any links that any traffic that they send will go directly to your site and be credited to you, and you'll presumably get those leads. So this is all for your featured listings. The other thing you can do is you can set up an XML feed on your site and just set up an XML icon or something, and then people can subscribe to your feed. Anytime you get new listings, it'll show up. Some MLSs do not allow syndication, and so you'll get that alert up in here. So let's cover, I'll get into the Customize tab a little bit. You have a number of templates you can choose from. In some cases, let's say you've worked with a developer or designer and they've customized your CSS. You're not going to want to override that CSS without talking to your developer first, because there may be some custom work that went into that. But if you like some designs here and you're not using custom CSS, feel free to apply any of these designs to your account and go from there. Classifieds is fairly popular as a design, and then some of these like Classified 700. This is a wider design. So if you have enough space on your site, you might want to choose a larger, wider template. And then the same is true of details pages. Details page templates are a little more, you know, they're some very different templates here. So you can review all those again if you don't have custom CSS. If you do have custom CSS, it is, again, it's important that you save that custom CSS before you apply any templates because it will overwrite your custom CSS. We have a way to roll back any accounts. So let's say you applied custom CSS or applied a new template and overwrote your CSS. We can roll back your account to the previous day, but I don't recommend taking that approach because then you'll lose any leads that you received in the last 24 hours would disappear because we have to roll a snapshot of the entire account back to by a day. And we back up every account so that clients don't lose any information. I do have a question about syndication, so I'm going to go back to that briefly. The syndication, note that any syndication that you do, that you set up, so let's say I click on this, it'll show enabled. This feed won't show up for another 24 hours, and then you'll need to go to homefinder.com and you'll need to submit that. So the URL needs to be submitted with these partners. Sometimes there's confusion about what needs to be done here. That's exactly what needs to be done. You need to submit to the partners. Now, in some cases, you can enter an ID, and then with these any with IDs should be submitted automatically. But I would go in and just double check with those. So hopefully that covers it for those of you that may have missed that piece. I covered templates, and yes, ID is your login. So now we have global wrapper. Excuse me, ID is not the IDX Co or IDX broker login, but it would be your ID for that particular partner that you're syndicating to. So global HTML wrapper, site customization. This is where the wrapper is, and you know, your designer may have set this up, or your retail account, our help support has set this up for you. If you are a retail account and you're seeing that, you know, your pages don't match up or your navigation is a little bit different on your home site, but it's not being reflected on your IDX pages, just contact support and we can update that for you. Some of you may have designers that set up the WordPress include, or some of you may be technical enough to understand how that works. We have some good knowledge-based content on that. You can basically create, there's a really easy way to do it now that's a little bit easier than what we've recommended in the past, and that's to create a WordPress page, and then within that page just put the start and stop content. And you'll find that content, that information about how to do that in the knowledge base, but you would just add the 2 div tags to the actual page that you created. So here we have, it looks like I've covered all that. Category wrappers, not used very often, but you know, for specific page type categories. Page wrappers, this is where, and again, you can wrap any page, so you can modify any page to do what you want. Let's say you want special meta description tags for each page. You could do that here. You could set up unique wrappers if you wanted. Not used very often. This is used more often. Email updates. So your email updates are going to have branding in them based on your wrapper, but sometimes an email client, you know, like Outlook or Gmail, may not read that email as effectively as you would like, or doesn't display it as effectively as you would like. And I would recommend testing those email updates by just coming in here, leaving it blank, and then hitting, you know, whatever your email address is here, sending yourself a sample. This way you can figure out how to customize it, and you may just copy the wrapper over here, or you may work with a designer and have that designer build a table structure for your emails. The reason being is that, you know, for those of you who are familiar with email software, they typically recommend that you use tables for any emails, just to keep it make it look clean. Our email updates are fairly clean out of the box, but again, you may want to test that out if you want to do further customization and really make it look nice and clean. Subheaders is just where you would add subheaders to specific pages. You can do that manually here. So for instance, let's say do a search. Let's say on advanced search you want to make sure you want to put an H1 tag. Whoops. H1 tags are popular with search engines. They sometimes help you get indexed. So I'll type a advanced search in here, and that's my H1 tag, and then I'll save it. And then that a lot of times people will do that map search, address search. So custom CSS, I don't recommend getting into this unless you're a designer or you have some design skills. There's a lot that can be done here to help your account, and there's a lot that can be done here to really mess it up. So I would recommend, and of course, anytime if you do customize CSS and you want to dig into it, there is a way to revert back to the previous template, and that is you just go back to the templates. If you screwed up the MLS, and look for Home Basic Search, and then just reapply it, and then you can come back here and play around. So for those of you that do want to modify your CSS. I do have a question, let's see, about subheaders. If I want to put advanced search into the subheader, how do I do that? Or how do I see how it's going to look? Well, you just go to advanced search, submit, and then I'll go here and click on advanced search, close this window. And you'll see I didn't set any tag up. It just shows up as advanced search. So if I set that up as an H1, let's say I want to use the H1 tag, and I've got some CSS governing how that's going to look. I don't know why I keep typing H2. There we go. H1, save, submit, refresh. There we go. So now there's a nice clean CSS governed H1 tag, and it's search engine friendly. So you just go to the page that whatever page you've modified. In this case, it's the advanced search. So I backed up a little bit here just because I'm getting some questions from people that are having questions a little bit after the review, which is fine. They're good questions. So custom CSS, I covered that. Custom links, you have the option of creating basic, advanced, map search. And what this does, this actually goes to the map. So it'll go to the map, and then you can create a custom URL for this map search. And let's say I want to zone in on, I want all the properties around Aubrey Butte. So I zoom in there and zoom out just a little bit. And let's say I want this neighborhood to show up. And so I want to build a custom map search that says, Aubrey Butte. So I do that. I center it. I change maybe low price, high price. And there you go. And then hit enter to refresh. Now I'm getting more properties. And then I can test it out. Some of these are demo listings, so they're not showing the photos. And then I just go here and I generate the URL, or I optimize my URL. So I type in Aubrey Butte, and then you'll see the URL show up here. And then I save, and it takes me here, and here's Aubrey Butte. This is the saved links area. Okay, so I go in here. There's our Aubrey Butte. I can either edit that, and I can see here that it's a map search that I've created, or I can test it. So I go here and I test, and it looks like it's not saving the low price. You'll want to modify the low price manually because I overrode that. So you'll want to probably, that's set globally back in the preferences. So there I have Aubrey Butte, and then I can set a subheader for Aubrey Butte. I could talk a little bit about Aubrey Butte, whatever, and then go from there. And then set up meta tag descriptions and keywords and so on. So that's how I would customize, create a custom link. You can do the same for searches, for advanced search, listing search. You can set up Vancouver, Lincoln, and then go here, generate link, and I don't want this full link. Maybe I want to call it Lincoln, Vancouver, Lincoln. And so I save that, and then that becomes a custom link. Those custom links get indexed fairly well. So when you create those and then you add those to your site, they'll get indexed. Any of you using the WordPress plugin, those custom links will be pulled in automatically the next time you load, do a refresh or an update. Advanced search. So this is where you would come in and modify your advanced search page. And you can modify all kinds. You can modify the by property type. With advanced search, each property type changes the layout. So if you want to see how it looks, I click here, and here's here's my advanced search. And let's say I want type to go up here, okay? And because I want condos to be first in line, so I hit refresh. There it is. So whatever I've done, whatever I do on this page is going to show up on my advanced search. So I have a lot of control here for these search fields. You can also add new options. So let's say I want homeowner's fee. Do I want to have that searchable? That'll show up at the bottom, and then you can set that up as actually you can move that wherever you want it to be, and then that'll obviously you can expand that, or you can set that. Hit the refresh here. You can set min max. So you have a min fee and a max fee that someone is willing to pay. So you have a lot of control here over what shows up on that page. That's the advanced search. If you have multiple MLSs, you can set a default for your advanced search page. So you just say set as default. Something else you have control over, and a lot of people aren't aware of this, you can actually modify the label for the advanced search. So, in the case of, let's say this one's called bank owned, well, that one's fairly obvious. You'll probably want to keep that one as is. But, there may be, let's say you want to change listing status to just status. You can come in here and modify that, and then it'll update it on your advanced search page. Okay. So you can customize any of these fields. Okay. So that's the Customize tab. Widgets tab, it looks like I have about 12 minutes to cover the rest, and there's quite a bit to cover, so I'll speed through. I may speed through this Widgets tab. Basically, the Widgets tab gives you a way. There's a couple different types of widgets. You have the Showcase widget and the Slideshow widget that are featured widgets, and they're basically, you copy this JavaScript into your site, or your page, or your sidebar, or whatever. Same with Slideshow. You copy this JavaScript in, and then any changes, if you want to apply changes, you need to do it from the control panel here. So you come in and modify the control panel. The only changes that you'll apply on the front end are the changes with CSS. So you have CSS changes here. You can modify the CSS by entering that into your page. So that's Showcase, Slideshow. Slideshow, you can change the rotation speed, how often the image rotates, the size, a lot of different things. Custom slideshows are unique. So let's say I want Aloha. I generate the code. This is unique to Aloha. Okay, so that custom slideshow will not change unless I change this code. Okay. Same with showcases. I have to come in here and I have to generate a new code each time I want a new showcase. Okay. Custom search forms. We have some preset templates, so you can choose those. It's up to you. A lot of people choose, this one's very common right here. And then you can generate the script, or you can generate the HTML. One of the nice things about generating the HTML is that, after you've set up the design, obviously, is that you can come in here and actually, before you copy it, let's say I want to customize my city list for the quick search. Let's say I only want Aberdeen and Alsea. I just come in here and delete. And then here's my div, the bottom of the tag. I just take all this and then copy it, and then I put it in the page. So you can actually modify the city list that way so that you have a custom city list for your quick search builder that's unique from the others. Wildcard search form, just copy this in, and you've got your wildcard search. It's somewhat limited. It doesn't offer a suggestion as you in the drop down. So as you type, it's not going to create any suggestion. But some people like to add that as an option. I'll skip that one. Lead login. So this is, you just copy this in, and it will show up on the site as a little lead login. It basically looks like this, so by default, and then you can modify it with CSS if you'd like. Your mobile page. Oh, I do have a question here about widgets, so I'll go back to that. If I place an IDX broker page or widget on my agent page on my managing brokers website, would I benefit if I put it on? Basically, would I benefit the broker's website, or do I benefit my own website? When it comes to a widget, widgets are getting crawled by Google, so more and more often those widgets do get indexed, and because JavaScript is getting indexed more and more often. There's no guarantee that the JavaScript will get indexed because again, it's kind of JavaScript is a little bit it's just more difficult for search engines to index it, but it's not going to hurt you to provide that. And so I would recommend that, yes, you put that widget on the website, and that you, because it's pointing to you, as long as that that widget is pointing to you, then you would get whatever Google Juice credit from that. Anytime there's a link to your own site from another site, and from your broker's website, for example, that's going to help you, and especially if it's it's real estate related, and it's within within that same category as you. So and then would I benefit more if I put the widget on a website of my own? You're going to benefit either way, but again, JavaScript doesn't get indexed as effectively. I would say that if you own a couple of different sites, you're going to want them both to you'll want them to link to each other, but have unique content on each. And then when you link using URLs as much as possible, rather than the JavaScript or widgets. So hopefully that answers the question. And then what if we don't require a password? Should we not use a lead login widget? That's a good question. Because this is HTML, you can come in here and you have a, let's see, you have a password field here. So if you don't require a password, you can just take this out, and then just and actually take this. You would take this whole div out, div ID, IDX user password, and just take that whole thing out like that, and then just copy it all. And then the submit form should still work because you've not required a password. So that's a good question. Mobile, cover mobile very briefly. I've got 5 minutes here to cover everything, and I unfortunately I'm running a little bit behind today. So we've got the little app widget that you can add to your site. You can modify the design, the color, what have you. So lead management, I'm going to cover that as quickly as I can. Probably the biggest and most important thing for lead management is that when you get a new lead, that you come in, and if it's a valid email, come in here and validate it. Sometimes people won't validate their own emails, and then 7 days later they may not. That's our trigger time. If they are not validated, then we're not going to send them email updates if they've saved the search. So make sure you do that. You can view any traffic history here. Anytime they get an email update and they click on the link, it's going to show up here. So you'll want to come back to your lead management page and just view the lead activity and what people are doing. And then if you have leads that you've added to the system, or let's say hey, so-and-so signed up and I know what they're looking for. I know they want ALSI and they want this price range. You can save the search, and then you've got that ALSI price range see all results. Well, I made it a little narrow, but and that's a very small town in Oregon that probably doesn't have properties at that price. But you know, if you set it up correctly, then you're going to have you can see today's results or all results, and then you can get a good sense for how often those emails are going to go out, and they'll start getting emails that are branded to you. So I would recommend doing that for any leads that you have and any leads that you add to the system, provided that that person is okay with getting those emails, and you know that's the case. You can save properties for them as well, and then just invite them to go, hey, I've saved a property, and you can go invite them to go look at that property. So just send them an email and say, hey, you know, log into your listing account here, and you could give them the link to the listing manager account. Let's see. So lead management, and I have a question here. When you sign someone up to receive listings, do they get the initial email automatically? When you add somebody, that's a very good question. Unless you add somebody through a front-end form, so you go through your own sign-up form and you sign them up that way, unless you do it that way, they will not receive the email. So if you add a new lead, they're not going to get a notification saying that you've added the lead. So you have two different ways to do it. Either way, they'll get added into the system. So, and then a question about Android lead app. No, there is no lead app for Android. And but we do have some clients that have set up. They have a designer that has set up two different accounts. One is with a wrapper for mobile, and then one is a wrapper for standard. So, and then a question here on on emails. Will they get the listings? Yes, they'll receive any new listings provided that you've set up a saved search. So if they sign up and they save a search, then they'll get the listing updates. If not, if they haven't saved a search, they will not get listing updates. So you need to be aware of who's saving searches and whether they've got that set up. And if they need a saved search, you can come in here again. You can come in here and do that for them. So if we do it manually, do we also need to? Oh, yes. Will you be notified? I'm assuming you're asking about the notification. That's into preferences. So will I be notified of email updates? If you put it in here under preferences and you put your email address and carbon copy. Summary of all daily mailings. That will tell you what's going out. Lead registration preferences. I've got just a couple minutes to cover this, but I'd like to show you the best practices here. We recommend request on photo gallery and then request on register on the details pages, and you can do that after, say, 4 or 5, and then force the user after 10. So you have somebody who's looking at details pages, and then they eventually are going to be hit with a form. Can you sign up? And then after 10 pages, they're forced to sign up before they can see any additional pages. One thing I recommend doing here is come in here and customize these. You've got all these messages you can customize. So this is going to help you a lot in terms of just getting these people to sign up and giving them a good experience when they initially sign up with you. You can customize a lead form here, so you can add your own fields. That'll affect that lead form. And then listings. I've got just a few minutes to cover listings. I want to show you that exactly how these work. You can display as featured, or you can display in the slideshow, and then you've got the description from the MLS. Or let's say you want to update the description, you can do that here. If the MLS is providing the wrong Latin long, you can modify that here. So you can go into Google or somewhere and find the Latin long, and then update it here so that it's correct on the map. You can update photos. You can add a virtual tour. You can modify open house, set up an open house, and then you can have let's say you have a flyer or a PDF or something. You can add that, say, printable flyer, and then put actually link text is printable flyer, and then custom link URL would link to that. So there are a lot of flyer tools out there that allow you to just create a kind of a simple flyer. We provide a flyer, but it's not, and it can be customized, but it's probably not at the level that you could find with one of these low-cost flyer services, and then you just link out to it, and that way somebody can click on that and it'll open it up. The other thing, the important thing to note here is listings sold pending. Is that for sold pending listings, we don't know if the status is sold or pending. Okay, so in order for that to show up on the page, you need to come in here anytime these listings are archived and then set it as sold or pending. Okay, and then you could say the sale price. You can put the sale price here, and then that will show up on your sold and pending page, which you can link to from your site. And then it will say pending or sold, and it'll show it on a map, and then it'll show the details. Okay, so that's the last thing I wanted to cover before we wrap up the webinar. And then if anybody has any other questions, go ahead and post them now. It looks like we do have one question. Can we manually add a sold listing? So